Hello, I'm Divya A, Assistant Professor, ECE, AJ Institute of Engineering and Technology, Bangalore. So today in this video lecture, I'll be continuing with Module 4, Optical Amplifiers. So in this video lecture, I'll be giving an introduction to EDFA, then the amplification mechanism, then I'll be explaining about EDFA architecture, and finally the power conversion efficiency and gain. So what is EDFA? So EDFA stands for erbium doped fiber amplifiers. The active medium in an optical fiber amplifier. So it consists of a nominally 10 to 30 meter length of optical fiber that has been lightly doped with a rare earth element such as erbium. The host fiber material can be standard silica, a fluoride based glass, or a telluride glass. A popular material for long haul telecommunication applications is a silica fiber doped with erbium, which is known as erbium doped fiber amplifier or EDFA. So as we already learned in previous video lecture that semiconductor optical amplifiers use external current injection to excite electrons to higher energy levels. Here erbium doped fiber amplifiers, they use optical pumping. So in this process, one uses photons to directly raise electrons into excited states. The optical pumping process requires 3 or more energy levels. So the top energy level to which the electron is raised should have energy level much greater than the desired final emission level. So it is shown here. So the top energy level to which the electron should be raised must be much greater than the desired final emission level. So after reaching the top energy level, the electron must quickly release some of its energy and drop to a slightly lower energy level. A signal photon can then trigger the excited electron sitting in this new lower level into stimulated emission, whereby the electron releases its remaining energy in the form of new photon with a wavelength that is identical to that of the signal photon. So to understand how EDFA works, we need to know the structure of erbium. So the erbium atoms in silica are Er3+ ions, which are erbium atoms that have lost 3 of their outer electrons. The transitions of the outer electrons in these ions to higher energy state is referred to as the process of raising the ions to higher energy level. So this figure here, it shows a simplified energy level diagram and various energy level transition process of Er3+ ions in silica glass. So the two principal levels for telecommunication applications are a metastable level and the pump level. The term metastable means that the lifetime for transition from this state to the ground state are very long compared with the lifetimes of the states that led to this level. The metastable, the pump and the ground state levels are actually bands of closely spaced energy level that form a manifold due to the effect known as Stark splitting. So furthermore, each Stark level is broadened by thermal effects into an almost continuous band. So to understand the various energy transitions and photon emission ranges, let's consider the following conditions. That is, the pump band exists at a 1.27 electron volt separation from the bottom of the ground state. This energy corresponds to 980 nanometer wavelength. The top of the metastable band is separated from the bottom of the ground state band by 0.841 electron volt. So this energy corresponds to 1480 nanometer wavelength. Then next, the bottom of the metastable band is separated from the bottom of the ground state band by 0.814 electron volt. So this energy corresponds to 1530 nanometer wavelength. The bottom of the metastable band is separated from the top of the ground state band by about 0.775 electron volt. This energy corresponds to 1600 nanometer wavelength. So this means that the possible pump wavelengths are 980 and 1480 nanometer. The photons emitted during the transition of electrons between possible energy levels in the metastable and the ground state bands can range from 1530 to 1600 nanometer. Now coming to the amplification mechanism. So this was all about how the energy bands are spaced. So in normal operation, a pump laser emitting 980 nanometer photons is used to excite ions from the ground state to the pump level. So this is shown by the transition process 1. So in transition process 1, a pump laser that is emitting a 980 nanometer photon is used to excite ions from the ground state to the pump level. Next, these excited ions, they decay very quickly from the pump band to the metastable band. So this is shown by the transition 2, transition process 2. So another possible pump wavelength, that is 1480 nanometer. So the absorption of 1480 nanometer pump photon excites an electron from the ground state directly to the lightly populated top of the metastable level. So this is indicated by the transition process 3. Next, these electrons, they will tend to move down to the more populated lower end of the metastable level. So this is shown by the transition process 4. So some of the ions sitting at the metastable level can decay back to the ground state in the absence of an externally stimulating photon flux, that is shown by the transition process 5. So this decay phenomenon is known as spontaneous emission and adds to the amplifier noise. Then there are two more types of transitions that occur when a flux of signal photons that have energies corresponding to the band gap energy between the ground state and the metastable state level passes through the device. First, a small portion of the external photons will be absorbed by ions in the ground state, which raises these ions to the metastable level. So this is shown by transition process 6. Second, in the stimulated emission process, a signal photon triggers an excited ion to drop to the ground state, thereby emitting a new photon of the same energy, wave vector and polarization as the incoming signal photon. The widths of the metastable and the ground state levels allow high levels of stimulated emissions to occur in the 1530 to 1560 nanometer range. So next, coming to the EDFA architecture, an optical fiber amplifier. It consists of a, as I already told you, doped fiber. So here it is erbium doped fiber. So one or more pump lasers, a passive wavelength coupler, optical isolators and tap couplers. So the dichroic coupler, dichroic or two wavelength coupler, will handle either a 580 nanometer or 1480 nanometer wavelength combinations to couple both the pump and the signal optical powers efficiently into the fiber amplifier. The tap couplers are wavelength sensitive with typical splitting ratios ranging from 99:1 to 95:5. That is, tap couplers are used for splitting the signal. They are generally used on both sides of the amplifier to compare the incoming signal with the amplified output. The optical isolators, they prevent the amplified signal from reflecting back into the device, where it could increase the amplifier noise and decrease the amplifier efficiency. So next, coming to the EDFA configurations. So there are, as you can notice, three possible configuration of an EDFA, that is co-directional pumping, counter directional pumping and dual pumping. So these are the three possible configurations of an EDFA. So what is meant by co-directional pumping? So here the pump light is usually injected from the same direction as the signal flow. So the direction of the pump light and the direction of the signal flow are in the same direction. So this is known as co-directional pumping. It is also possible to inject the pump power in the opposite direction, as shown here. The pump signal is opposite to that of the input signal or the incoming signal. So this is referred to as counter directional pumping. So this configuration is called as counter directional pumping. And there is also another possibility, that is we can use either a single pump source or dual pump source. So when dual pump source are used, it is called as dual pumping. So counter directional pumping allows higher gains, but co-directional pumping gives better noise performance. Next, coming to EDFA power conversion efficiency and gain. So as in the case with any amplifier, as the magnitude of the output signal from an EDFA increases, the amplifier gain eventually starts to saturate. So the input and output power of an EDFA can be expressed in terms of principle of energy conservation, and it is given here in this relationship. So the signal output power must be less than or equal to input signal power plus lambda p by lambda s into input pump power. So here lambda p is the pump wavelength and lambda s is the signal wavelength. So the fundamental physical principle here is that the amount of signal energy that can be extracted from an EDFA, that is the output power, it cannot exceed the pump energy. So output power should not be more than the pump energy that is stored in the device. So we see that the maximum output signal power, it depends on the ratio of lambda p by lambda s. So for the pumping scheme to work, we should have lambda p much less than lambda s. And to have an appropriate gain, it is necessary that the input signal power must be much less than the input pump power. Thus the power conversion efficiency, so it is defined as, it is given by this relationship, which is always less than 1. So the ratio of output signal power by input pump power must be less than the pump wavelength and the signal wavelength, which is much less than unity. So we can also write the first equation in terms of the, this is written now in terms of power. So this same equation can be written in terms of gain. So assuming there is no spontaneous emission, then we have the equation for gain as ratio of output signal power by input signal power is much less than or equal to 1 plus lambda p by lambda s into pump input power by signal input power. So this shows an important relationship between the signal input power, so and the gain. So from this relationship we can see what is the relationship between the signal input power and the gain. So when the signal input power is very large, that is when it is much larger than the ratio of pump wavelength by signal wavelength into input pump power, then the maximum amplifier gain is unity. This means that the device is transparent to the signal. So we also see that from the previous equation, we see that in order to achieve a specific maximum gain G, the input signal power cannot exceed a value given by this relation, that is input power should not exceed the ratio of lambda p by lambda s input pump power divided by G minus 1. So in addition to pump power, the gain also depends on the fiber length. So the maximum gain in a 3-level laser medium of length such as an EDFA, it is given by this equation, where N is the rare earth element concentration and sigma E is the signal emission cross section. So therefore the maximum gain is given by the lowest of the two gain expressions. That is, we have written gain expression, we have written two relations. So the maximum gain or power can be considered as the minimum of the two expressions. So similarly, The maximum possible EDFA output power is given by the minimum of two expressions. So this figure, it illustrates the onset of gain saturation for various doped fiber lengths as the pumping power increases. So the gain, as the fiber length increases for a low pumping powers, the gain starts to decrease after a certain length, because the pump does not have enough energy to create a complete population inversion in the downstream portion of the amplifier. So this was about EDFA amplifier. Thank you.